Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 1st chapter, text number 20. Sri Shuka Uvacha Iti Samabhihito Mahabhagavato Bhagavatas Tribhuvana Guroranushasanam Atmano Lagutaya Vanata Shirodharo Bhadam iti sabahumanamuvaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Sri Shukadeva Goswami continued, after thus being fully instructed by Lord Brahma, who is the spiritual master of the three worlds, Priyavrata, his own position being inferior, offered obeisances, accepted the order and carried it out with great respect. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Sri Priyavrata was the grandson of Lord Brahma. Therefore, according to social etiquette, his position was inferior. It is the duty of the inferior to carry out the order of the superior with great respect. Priyavrata therefore immediately said, "Yes, sir, I shall carry out your order." Priyavrata is described as a Mahabhagavata, a great devotee. The duty of a great devotee is to carry out the order of the spiritual master or the spiritual master of the spiritual master in the parampara system. As described in Bhagavad Gita 4.2, Evam parampara praptam, one has to receive the instructions of the Supreme Lord through the disciplic chain of spiritual masters. A devotee of the Lord always considers himself a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport.
Brahma has instructed Priyavrata, who is absorbed in spiritual life under the instructions of Narada. But now Lord Brahma has come there and has instructed him to carry out an important duty in the material world, to rule the world. And initially Priyavrata had some reservations. He was concerned that ruling the world, in the material world, all of that can distract him from spiritual life. So Lord Brahma has given very wonderful instructions. And after hearing all that, what did Priyavrata do? Shukadeva Goswami is describing in today's words. Iti samabhihito Mahabhagavato Bhagavatas Tribhuvana Guru. Lord Brahma, actually, we just hear about Lord Brahma as Hindus, what we all had heard in our lives. Somebody who has more than one head and is known as a creator. But from Srila Prabhupada, we begin to hear that he is a foremost spiritual master. He has received the instruction of the Lord about the creation, about the purpose of the creation, and he is carrying it out. So when we hear from a pure devotee, we get the right perspective of the personality. Just like Narada also. What we had heard about Narada as Hindus, oh, he is a person who creates trouble between two parties. But when we hear from Prabhupada that he is an exalted devotee, so unless we hear from a pure devotee, we will not have the right understanding of the Vedic literature. So here Lord Brahma is described as Tribhuvana Guru. He is the spiritual master in the three universes, in all the universes. Universes are classified into Tribhuvana, Urdhvaloka, Madhyaloka, Adholoka, and he is the spiritual master for everyone in all these planets. Such an exalted person he is. So Tribhuvana Guru, He has come, iti samabhihito, samyak abhitaha. Abhitaha means to instruct, completely instructed. So, in these instructions of Lord Brahma, Priyavrata found full enlightenment and direction. Iti samabhihito, and to whom he instructed, he was Priyavrata, who is Mahabhagavato. And when he was instructed that way, Priyavrata, he is Laghutaya, he is junior. Lord Brahma is his grandfather and spiritual master of the three universes, of all the three worlds. So, Priyavrata, realizing that Laghutaya, I am junior, I am inferior to him. And so, what did he do? Avanatha Shirodharaha. Shirodharaha, head, neck, and all this one. Avanatha, he bowed down. Avanatha Shirodharaha, Avanatha, Bhadam iti. Bhadam, yes sir, I will follow your instruction. Iti, Bhadam iti. Sabahumanam uvaha. Sabahumanam. He has given his Anushasanam, his order. Lord Brahma gave his order. Anushasanam. Atmano laghutaya. I am junior considering that. And he said, Avanatha Shirodharaha, Bhadamiti, Sabahumanam, Uvaha. Uvaha. It's a very nice word. Vaha, Vahni. We have discussed that sometimes in the past. Comes from the word Vah, means to carry. That's why fire is called Vahni, because fire carries the offerings to the Devatas and to Vishnu. And the vehicle that carries us around is also called Vahana. So it means to carry. So Uvaha means to carry out. Sabahumanam Uvaha. With great respect, with great gravity, with a lot of seriousness, Uvaha. He carried out his order, Anushasanam. So, Sri Shukadev Goswami continued, Sri Shuka Uvacha, after thus being completely instructed, iti samabhito, by Lord Brahma, who is the spiritual master of the three worlds, Tribhuvana Guror, Priyavrata, his own position being inferior, Atmano Laghutaya, offered obeisances, Avanatha Shirodharo, accepted the order, Bhadam iti, and carried it out with great respect, Sabahumanam Uvaha. And Srila Prabhupada has nicely described here in the purport that Priyavrata, who is not an ordinary person, he is a Mahabhagavata himself. So even a Mahabhagavata has an obligation, even a Mahabhagavata carries out the order of his spiritual master or the order of the spiritual master of the spiritual master. And in this way, the order of the Lord coming down in a parampara. So, we cannot get the order of the Lord directly because we are conditioned souls. We have to receive it in the parampara. As Priyavrata has received it from Brahma, who is the spiritual master of the spiritual master, his spiritual master, and his grandfather, all of that. So, very nicely, this verse describes three things that Priyavrata did. Shirodhara Avanatha, bowing down. Bhadam iti, accepting the order. Yes, I will follow that, sir. And Bahumanam Uvaha, and carrying it out with great respect. So, carrying out the order of the spiritual master with great respect, with great seriousness. We see that entirely in the life of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada went to many places. There are many places in the 68, 69 you will hear. First time Prabhupada is going to Canada. First time Prabhupada is going to the West Coast in America. And anywhere in all those places Prabhupada says, we have come from a far off place in India to your country to follow the order of my spiritual master. You see? So this is what Prabhupada was always, why have I come to this far off country? Why have I come to this city? I was in Vrindavan, but to carry out the order of my spiritual master, I have come to your country, I have come to your city. So, everything that Srila Prabhupada did, Prabhupada's life is so inspiring. And everything he did to carry out the order of his spiritual master as it is instructed in the Vedic literature. So, when he was establishing the Krishna consciousness movement, Prabhupada was not doing it like some intellectual philosophy from India, and I'm going to teach you all, and you all can become intellectually convinced about it, and then you can go on with your life and understanding this intellectually. No, Prabhupada was actually transplanting an entire culture. It was not just an intellectual transmission of knowledge, but it was transplanting a culture. And one of the important aspects of the culture is this avanata shirodharaha, bowing down. In the 1966, when Prabhupada had his temple in the storefront, Prabhupada would come. There were no deities, but it was called temple. Of course, it was a temple. Prabhupada would come, and there was one painting of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Panchatattva, or old painting of that Prabhupada had given direction to his disciples, and there were a few disciples, and they had painted that. And that was put up on the wall. So Prabhupada would come, and every day he would bow to that Parampara, Panchatattva picture. So all these Americans who were just becoming serious, they saw, oh, we have to bow like this. And many of them who had taken it seriously, they also started bowing down. And then as soon as Prabhupada comes and he bows, they also would bow. So already you see how Prabhupada was transplanting the culture. And then Prabhupada would sit on the asana, and then he would sing kirtan, and then he would speak, and then he would answer questions. All of this was happening in the first storefront temple. And so some of the Westerners who were coming to the temple and his early preaching, for the Westerner's mind, this bowing down is a very big thing. So, first of all, young people, these young Americans who were taking to Krishna consciousness at that age, they were rebels. They were rebelling everything from of the standard established world. They were rebelling from their parents. They were rebelling from their university. They were rebelling from American lifestyle. They were rebelling from everything, and they wanted to figure out something. That was the kind of people. And the norm among them was, don't believe anybody who is above 30 years of age. And Srila Prabhupada was 70 years, and they were bowing to him. So the wonderful personality that Srila Prabhupada was, he drew them, and that's why they were ready to bow to him. They were ready to give their lives. So that was the beauty of Srila Prabhupada's personality. But now and then, Prabhupada would encounter some people asking questions, why are all your followers bowing down to you? And so there were many occasions this topic would come up, and then Prabhupada would say, actually, and then there's one very interesting argument that even when I was a college student, I read this and it had stuck, it made a deep impression in my mind about this bowing down. So I had read that in a Back to Godhead conversation. And so this Westerner is asking, why are they all bowing down? And then Prabhupada explains very nicely, one or two important points he makes. First point Prabhupada makes, to think that I don't have to bow down is a material disease. So it's a material disease to think that I don't have to bow down to anyone. And then Prabhupada explained logically, you see that your position is that you have to bow down. When disease comes, you have to bow down. Like we are seeing, the whole world is bowing down. Big disease has come. They have kept aside everything else. Their motor cars, big bungalows, big houses, everything. They're all bowing down from their homes when the disease comes. When old age comes, you have to bow down. You cannot say, I'm old, why I shall bow down to you? I will always remain young. No. You have to accept. You have to surrender. You have to bow down. And then when death comes, you have to bow down. Even big kings, they stood with swords and on throne and other things. When death came, even they had to bow down. So that's our position. So your position is to bow down. So an intelligent man will ask, if my position is to bow down, where shall I bow so that I will also be happy? And that is Krishna. Such a wonderful logic, see, Prabhupada gives. Your position is anyway to bow down. So if you are intelligent, you will ask the question, where shall I bow down? Anyway, I have to bow down, but I shall be happy. And that is Krishna or Krishna's representative. So this was a wonderful logic that Prabhupada gave about bowing down because so one is this young Americans they were rebels and they didn't want to bow down and all of that. Another reason is the Christian culture also teaches that thou shalt not bow to any man. So bow down to any man. So that's another, their religious upbringing also would teach them not to bow down to anyone. Because, of course, there was a historical reason when Jesus was there. There were so many bogus people and people were bowing down to them and getting carried away, misled. So they didn't want that. Jesus didn't want that. So he had instructed. These were the circumstances. There's another very interesting explanation Prabhupada gave about bowing down. We all know the famous two brothers, Brahmananda and Gargamuni. They were two brothers and they became devotees. And then they were coming to the storefront temple and they would see devotees. And Brahmananda Prabhu recollects this. And he says that we were all bowing down, but my brother Gargamuni, he didn't want to bow down. When everybody bows down, he'll simply be sitting like that. So one day he asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, I don't feel like bowing down. All others are bowing. I don't feel like. Is it okay I just sit there? So Prabhupada said, no. You should bow down. And when you bow down, you will develop the feeling to bow down. So we may not have that feeling, but we must do certain things. By doing certain things, we will develop the feeling. And so Gargamuni accepted that, and he also started bowing down. And after some time, he also developed the good feeling. So, like this, here it is described, Avanatha Shirodharaha Bhadham Ithi Sabahumanam Uvaha. Actually, our life should be just this. bowing down to Krishna, bowing down to the spiritual master, and agreeing to follow the instruction and carrying out the order of the spiritual master, carrying out the order of Krishna that we receive from the spiritual master, our life should be filled with these things. Nothing else. This aspect is very nicely captured by Narottam Das Thakur, which we sing in the Guru Puja song, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Koriya Aikya. Our life, our aspiration, our thinking should be nothing but the instructions of the spiritual master. When we do that, then all the spiritual realization that is taught in the Vedic literatures comes about. Prabhupada always said, Krishna consciousness is not a sentiment, it is a science. Because what did Prabhupada mean by saying it is a science? He said it is not a sentiment, it is not a belief. Some group of people feel that way and they feel good like that, and that is why they think like that, they believe like that. No, it is not like that. It's a science in the sense, like science, science says you add A plus B, you will get C and D, right? All that we have studied in high school chemistry. If you add two chemicals and then heat it, you will get this one, you will get some gas rising, and A plus B equals C plus D. Any number of times you can do it. Anyone can do it. Will get the result. An Indian will get, American will get, an African will get. Anybody who does this experiment, A plus B equals C plus D. In the same way, when we follow the instructions given by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, it will bring about a certain change in our consciousness. That is applicable everywhere. And that is actually the core of every religion, including the Vedic religion. And so, in that sense, Prabhupada was always saying that Krishna consciousness is not some sentiment of a few Hindus in one part of the world. No. This is actually the essence present in every religion also. But in the Vedic religion, it is more elaborately described. Prabhupada gave the example of a pocket dictionary and a big multi-volume dictionary. Both gives meaning of a word, but in a multi-volume dictionary, you get more and more explanation, more nuances of the word and how the word came about and examples of the word and so on. More elaborately described. And that is what happens in the Vedic literature. There is much more. Just like here we are seeing how many examples of great devotees and how those great devotees practice this instruction. All of these kind of things we see. Now, so it's a science. One other example of this instruction, A plus B equals C plus D, Krishna explains in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Mai eva mana adhatsva, mai buddhim niveshaya, nivasishyasi mai eva ata urdhvam na samshayaha. Here Krishna is saying, you do this and this, it will result in this. A plus B equals C plus D. Krishna is exactly saying that. So Krishna is saying, mai eva mana adhatsva. Adhattha, adatte means to fix the mind on Krishna. Mayeva mana adatsva manas. Fix your mind. Mayeva mana adatsva. Mai buddhim niveshaya. And niveshaya means to apply or to engage. Buddhim niveshaya in Krishna. So to fix the mind on Krishna and to engage the intelligence in Krishna. If you do this, what is the result? nivasishyasi mayyeva atha urdhvam na samshayah. Na samshayah. Without fail, without a doubt. What happens if you do these two things? Atha urdhvam nivasishyasi mayyeva. Mayyeva nivasishyasi. Nivasa means residence. Right? Nivasa means house. So, mayyeva nivasishyasi mayyeva. You will live in me. Krishna is saying. You will live in me. Nivasishyasi mayyeva means you will be on a transcendental platform in touch with me, in my association. You will come to the platform of being in my association. So, if you do 1 and 2, you will get this 3. Fix your mind on Krishna, engage your intelligence in the service of the Lord, you will come to a transcendental platform, you will live in Krishna. And Prabhupada explains in the purport, the devotees of the Lord don't live in the material world, they live in the spiritual world with Krishna. Nivasishyasi mayyeva ata urdhvam na samshayah. So now, this is the process. We have to fix our mind on Krishna, engage our mind, intelligence in the service of the Lord, and then we will come to the transcendental platform to experience the association of the Lord. Now, in order to fix the mind and engage the intelligence, Prabhupada gave instruction that we must serve the mission of the Lord, distribute books, build temples, give classes, share this knowledge with people, have festivals, organize, create an organization which does all these things. So, and then Prabhupada wanted this to, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Acharyas wanted this to be done all over the world. So do this on a big scale, take it to every person, take it to every town, every village. And Prabhupada encouraged us to do all of these things on a big scale, not just in our mat, in our mandir, in our home. He wanted this to be spread everywhere. So, and Prabhupada engaged us, engage our intelligence to use our intelligence to do all this, because that will help to fix the mind on Krishna and engage the intelligence in the service of the Lord. By doing this, nivasishyasi mayyeva ata urdhvam na samshaya, it is help meant to bring us to that platform. So that is why we engage in different kinds of activities. But then one has to be careful when we are doing this, because Prabhupada also teaches there are many bijas in our heart, and one of the bija is known as karma bija. Karma bija is a fruitive activity, seed of fruitive activity. Fruitive activity bija, karma bija means a contamination in the heart of a conditioned soul who thinks that I will do different things, and by doing these things I'll acquire so many things and I will enjoy that myself. So this desire to do big things, many things, because when I do these things, I will get recognition and I will get notice, and everyone will say such a big thing he has done, and that will be nice to hear. You see? So this is karma bija. So if we are not careful, in the name of devotional service, we want to do this one, I want to do big thing, and our karma bija will be growing, and bhakti bija will not be growing, it will get stunted. This is also Krishna's instruction. Yasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjitaha gnanadi dhagda karmanam tamahuhu panditam buddhaha. Krishna has said how we have to do in our service. Yasya sarve samarambha, in all our endeavors. Samarambha means our different activities that we do. How we should do? Kama sankalpa varjitaha. Kama sankalpa is karma bija. A kind of a determination, a kind of a desire that we have. I must enjoy the result of these things. That is kama sankalpa. Unless we are kama sankalpa varjitaha. And how does kama sankalpa varjitaha happen? With jnanagdi dhagda karmanam. In this way, karma, our reactions and our desires for fruitive activities, all of that can be burned by jnana agni. How is karma burned? Karma is burnt by jnana didhagda karmanam. Why a person can burn the karma? By his knowledge, because in all his endeavors he is kama sankalpa varjitaha. He has no desire for enjoying in this material world. So this is an important quality that we have to develop, kama sankalpa varjitaha. And if one does not do that, and if one starts thinking that no, I must, Prabhupada has said we have to build temples, we have to build a big organization. If somebody starts thinking like, and if one becomes overpowered by those desires without sufficient purification, then his karma bija will be growing and not the bhakti lata bija. And hence, although yes, it is Prabhupada's desire that we have to build the organization, build temples and make big followers, big festivals, all that is there. We must feel inspired about it. Collectively as an organization, but individually we should be thinking that, what can I do? Let the Lord unfold. If one becomes ambitious like that, and hence it is described that for many, many years, that's why Prabhupada has given a very nice organizational framework. We work in the framework of the organization where there are certain approvals to be taken. So all these things regulates our desire. If we don't get regulated, if organizationally, if we are not regulated, we can go off in a wrong direction. Hence, yes, Prabhupada wants big temples, big organization, big services, all those kind of things that can be inspiring. But primarily, a devotee should be working to purify himself. And that will be demonstrated in his behavior. Another very wonderful principle Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives. Dharma sthapana hetu sadhur vyavahara. This means the behavior of a devotee establishes the purpose, the principles of establishes the principles of religion, the true principles of religion. So in other words, a devotee's behavior, by our appropriate behavior, we have to be very responsible in our behavior, because our behavior is an indication of the religious principle. So, how a devotee conducts himself, how a devotee behaves, that is a demonstration of the religious principles. Dharma sthapana hetu sadhur vyavahara. How we do vyavahara in the material world, how we conduct ourselves, that is a reflection of how much we have advanced and understood the true principles of Krishna consciousness. So, that is the reason why Srila Prabhupada has given us an institution. We work in an institutional framework, and we have a culture of, before I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do, instead of thinking like that, I shall do what I am asked to do. I shall be directed. See, that's one of the things that here Priyavrata is doing. Badham iti. Yes, sir. I will follow your instructions, sir. And who is saying this? Mahabhagavataha. Not just conditioned souls. What to speak of us? We are having karma bija and all kinds of bija in our hearts for enjoyment in the material world. Unless purification is there, unless kama sankalpa varjita has happened, and for all that to happen, we have to accept the process of Krishna consciousness as Priyavrata is doing here. Carrying out the order of the spiritual master, accepting the different regulative principles of the spiritual master. And it takes a long time. We cannot think that, no, last 3 years I'm following, now I have become independent, now I can think independently, I can do many things on my own. No, it takes a long time. Even Mahabhagavata is thinking like this. So that should be the culture of our organization, culture of our spiritual life. Always consulting, always seeking guidance, always taking instruction from superiors. Just here you see, Atmano Laguthaya, always feeling inferior. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Prabhupada explains this one. When you come before the spiritual master, when you come before a spiritual authority, you should always keep your slate blank so that they will write the instruction and we can follow that. So, this is the culture of Krishna consciousness that Srila Prabhupada teaches, the Bhagavatam teaches, Priyavrata through his example, a Mahabhagavata, millions of years ago, he has demonstrated that, and Srila Prabhupada has instituted that in our organization. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.